I'm interested, just as a starter, in why people think that the Metta Bhavana is important. Any ideas? So we've got a sense of nourishment, and I think if you've connected with metta, then you do find a sense of nourishment, but also that sense that actually we can change. We can change how we see other people. And in the end, Buddhism is about changing our views. It's about listening to the strongly held views that we have. And the Metta Bhavana really helps us to do that. So it trains the mind to be moving in a more positive rather than a more negative direction. It gets us in touch with our heart rather than our mind. So we can change our view of ourselves by bringing more loving kindness to ourselves. So we can see more clearly that other people suffer. And that is a connection between us. I don't know anybody who doesn't suffer. Everybody suffers. And sometimes we can get a little closed in into thinking, well, everybody else is fine, but I'm suffering. And it helps us break out of that. Okay? So in all these answers, we've been focusing on how, in a sense, we can change. And that is one of the very big things that Metta Bhavana does. But it can do more. And that's what I really want to move on to. It can help us look at the nature of reality. It can help us let go of the ego and see what this amazing life, this universe that we inhabit, actually is like. Rather than, oh, okay, I think it's like this, and I'm going to behave like this. We can look at how it actually is. And that's what I really want to be looking at. But we need to approach this with a bit of care. So we're going to do a couple of sort of how we get into that. And then I'm going to talk about the method that we use in order to allow things to open up in metta. So what I'd like us to do now, I'd like you to get into a good meditation posture, please. Aiming to be poised, upright, relaxed, and stable. Pose. Yes, poised, upright, relaxed, and stable. Yeah. So that the body is working with gravity rather than against it. Eyes can be open or shut. If they're open, probably have the head very slightly down so that you're looking at the floor. But it's fine to have your eyes closed. And then I want you to reflect on what it is that allows you to connect with metta. How do I personally find this loving kindness? And we're going to have a couple of minutes just to think about that. If you need a little more structure, it's when it works, what am I doing? And so now I'd like you to let go of the mental activity and just connect with metta and explore how that feels. And if you find you're not connecting, that's absolutely fine. It's where you are at the moment. Just see if you can relax into the breathing a little more and see whether that opens something up. There's no right answer. You feel what you are feeling. So we use techniques to help us calm and relax. But once we get to a point where we're reasonably calm and relaxed, then we can let go and we can stop. And we don't have to be mentally doing things. Mind always wants to do that. It doesn't really need to, though. So the mind tends to get a bit busy. Yeah, but we can let it just relax. Yeah, okay. So, generally, when we think of metta, when we think of the Metta Bhavana, we think of us connecting with metta and then sending metta out. That is really what the basic 5 stages of the practice allow us to do. But we don't have to do that. Metta is one of the qualities that the Buddha says, one of the qualities of reality. Metta is. So we don't have to be the being that actually does anything with metta. We can simply be metta. We don't have to do anything. And that's what I want to be moving on to what the rest of the time that we're looking at this here now. So metta, we are told, flows. It's a quality of existence. Quite often we can't connect with it because our minds are too busy, but that doesn't mean it's not there. And that doesn't mean it's not flowing. And if we can get to a point where we are part of that flow, then there is nothing that we need to be actually focused on other than metta. Metta just is. So I've got another little short exercise here. So again, if you could sit well, we can move along. If your posture is uncomfortable, your mind will be busy. And we're trying to have a relatively still mind here. So check posture always. And then I want to imagine that we are breathing metta in through every pore of the body. As we breathe in. And then as we bring another breath in, more metta comes into the body. And I want you to, with curiosity, explore, is it possible to get full of metta? Is there a point where you can't take any more in? So we're breathing in, possibly to the heart center, but to however it works for you. And just seeing what happens as we breathe in more metta. It's as if we are breathing in through every pore in the body, and what we are breathing in is loving kindness. What does that do to the body and the mind? Does metta just stay in the body? What happens is you keep breathing metta in. And now just relax. What is happening to the metta? It's very common to find resistance when you start doing this sort of work. It is completely out of our everyday experience. Quite often, there's a lot of buried fear. Oh, what if I haven't got any boundaries? Then who am I? Yes. So there is quite often resistance. It's really important, if resistance arises, to be kind. Yeah? It simply means that something is actually happening. Yeah? But that may be the mind body is thinking, well, I'm not quite sure about this. Yeah? Don't push it too much. Just let it be and see what happens with kindness, always. And if you think, actually, I don't want to do this now, then that's valid too. It is always with insight work. You must go at your own pace. The possibilities are there, but we each individually have to find our way to them. Trust your intuition. There's no must or should about any insight work. If you're sitting there thinking, I'm not quite ready for this, yeah, and just pull back a little bit. Always. What I return to is the breathing. Breathing is always with us, and the breathing will allow me to focus on something else while I kind of catch up with what's happening. Yeah. So trust yourself. Your body and mind will know what it needs to do. Yeah. And if you think, okay, I'm just pulling back for a bit, that's fine. Yeah. But just be aware that you might come back to this later. Yeah. Okay. Right, then I'm going to go into a little bit more along these lines. You've had the experience that I hoped you would have with that exercise, which is that there's a sense of expansion and a sense possibly of things flowing through. And what I'm going to do now, without really talking about it, is just lead us through a short exercise on objectless metta. And if at any point you feel, actually, this is too much, then you just go to the breathing. Yeah. And you turn your mind to what the breathing feels like in the body. Okay? So there's no, oh, I must be doing this because it's being led. You are listening to your own experience. Okay? But for most of us, it'll be fine. Yeah. So we're just going to go there. So again, please, a good posture. Make sure we are well grounded, that we have a sense of the earth supporting us, and that the earth will always be there, and it is not going to let us down in any way. And connect with the breathing. Feel the experience of breathing. And know that this is a place we can always come back to at any point in this meditation. And now reconnecting with the idea of loving kindness. As strongly as it's appropriate for you to be doing at the moment. It might, for example, feel like a sense of warmth. And then in imagination, bring to mind a good friend, a neutral person, and someone with whom we have a challenging relationship. And imagine sending metta to ourselves and all the other people equally. A sense of metta flowing between us. And now see if you can drop the idea that metta is flowing to other beings. Metta is just flowing. It is radiating out in all directions. And now see if you can drop the idea that metta is radiating from us. Metta simply flows. It doesn't have a source. Now let go of any sense that awareness holds metta. It is not a container. It's just metta. And then finally, let go of the labels, such as metta or flow. And then if you're making any effort, let that go. And how does this feel? Back into the room, into the awareness of what we're doing here. And what we just did is called objectless metta, because we get rid of the self who is sending the metta out and the other beings who are receiving the metta and all the labels, so that the idea is that there is just a wordless experience. I don't know whether it was like that for you, but sometimes it can be. And if we can sit in that experience without having to think about it, this is a very strong form of insight practice. We are simply part of the universe, and there is no need for mind to get involved. And things can arise out of that. But it's strong, and you need to be really careful of yourselves when we're doing this, so that we don't do it too quickly all at once.